it's good to relax a little bit.
Okay.
Tell me, first of all, say your full name,
Okay.
spell your full name, and what your title is.
My name is Erica Cabrera, Ericka Cabrera, and I am the Domestic Violence Liaison here at Women Rising.
Great. Where are you from?
Originally, I was born in Ecuador.
Where?
Ecuador.
Ecuador, okay.
Yes.
And how long have you been here?
I've been living here now for 20 years.
20 years. Great, that's great, yeah. So how old were you when you came?
I was only 10 years old when I first came.
Yeah. Was that intimidating for a 10-year-old?
Oh, yes. Very intimidating.
Did you move right to Jersey City?
I did. I've actually lived in Jersey City that whole time.
And how do you like it?
I love it. I mean, now I feel like this is the place where I grew up. It's home.
Yeah. How,
Yes.
compared to Ecuador, how would you compare it?
It is very different, very diverse, but that's one aspect that I actually love. It exposed me to people from different cultures. That was great, just getting to know people from all over the world.
Do you find other we call them Ecuadorians?
Yes.
Have you been able to connect with others?
Yes, actually, there's a huge Ecuadorian population
really?
in New Jersey. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Were you in a city in Ecuador, or were you in a country?
Yes, I was in a city, a large city.
Okay, cool. And why did your family decide to come?
They decided to come for better opportunities, and the majority of my family members were already living here.
Okay. And so are you a citizen? I assume you're a citizen.
Now I am, yes.
Yeah. Was it hard to do?
It was actually easier for me. My parents had to go through the difficult process, and because I was still a minor, I was just automatically made into a
really?
citizen.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So now, what language do they speak?
Spanish.
Spanish. And you speak English, obviously fantastic. So was that tricky?
It was. For my parents, it's still a bit difficult. So a lot of my growing up, I was pretty much the translator, reading the mail, making phone calls, helping my parents to navigate the system here.
Yeah. So do they speak English?
Very little they do. I mean, they know enough to get along.
Yeah. So you would be considered like second generation. See,
Yes.
I'm third generation Italian. My grandparents basically spoke Italian. Now, my parents spoke Italian, but they were pretty much raised in the United States. So by the time it got to me, they didn't speak any Italian.
Wow.
So I didn't learn anything. So that's the way it goes. So Erica, why are you here today?
I am here to talk about the Domestic Violence Service Program, as well as the impact that it had on domestic violence victims during the pandemic, during the COVID-19 situation. These past couple of months were very difficult for all of us to manage, and I would like to share more about that, as well as thank our community partners for everything that they have continued to do to support us in the work that we do.
So.
Okay, great. So you could go into what you were going to say.
Okay.
So why don't you start by describing who domestic violence is? So
Okay.
say it from the perspective of Women Rising and DV services. So Women Rising has this program, so on and so forth. You know what to do. She's getting into it now.
Perfect. I just
Okay.
taped the film do not enter.
Women Rising has a domestic violence service program where we are able to provide and connect victims with immediate services. Domestic violence is a pattern of abusive behavior where one person gains and maintains control over another person in the relationship. Anybody can be a victim of domestic violence. It could be a person of any age, any race, any culture, any educational or employment or even marital status. Domestic violence services are really important in the sense of meeting clients where they're at and helping them with the tools they need to make better informed decisions for themselves. Here at Women Rising, we provide a 24-hour shelter hotline to connect victims with immediate assistance if they need to go into a safe, undisclosed location. We also provide crisis intervention. We connect clients with advocacy, with referrals, with other services in the community that may assist them as well. And we also have developed partnerships with different programs in the community. For example, we have a partnership with the courthouse, both Superior and Municipal Court, to help victims navigate the legal aspect of domestic violence in terms of obtaining restraining orders and also court accompaniment. Another aspect of what we do is also having a partnership with the Division of Child Protection and Permanency, or DCPMP, formerly known as DIFAS. This partnership allows us to ensure the safety of children whose families are facing domestic violence, as well as the co-occurrence of child abuse or neglect.
Great. Can you just say the line, Women Rising is the state designated provider?
Okay. Women Rising is Hudson County's state designated provider for domestic violence services.
Okay, don't look at her when you're done.
Oh,
Just
sorry.
continue to look at me.
Okay.
So if you could continue to say, maybe say that line again, and then
Okay.
at the end say, so no one in the community is doing the scope of work that we're doing.
Okay. Women Rising is Hudson County's designated domestic violence service provider, meaning that we are the go-to place for domestic violence victims that are in need of services, of advocacy, of information, to be able to get to a safe place and be able to make better informed decisions for themselves.
Great. And I think you covered a lot of the programs, basically everything, right? I don't think you went into support groups, and I don't think that you mentioned anything about kids. So is there anything else maybe that you didn't touch on that is a direct program that we offer? You mentioned the court liaison, DCPMP.
Okay, so you're saying that there's a program for children?
Yes, we extend services to children. We have Lily's program, and we also do support groups.
Okay, so what's helpful to people that are being interviewed is to just not try to get too much, not attack them with too many things at one time. So, Erica, tell us about the children's program.
Okay. Wait, I just have a question.
Sure.
I didn't mention the support groups because right now I know that's not something that we're able to do due to the COVID situation. That's why I just kind of left that out.
Okay.
I don't know how to go about that.
Well, assume that COVID's not gonna last forever, I think, in anything like this, because it's not. It's, it's gonna eventually be gone, or we're gonna deal with it. So if you feel that that's an important aspect, then
Okay.
you should talk about it. So let's first talk about the children, and then we can deal with the sport thing later, okay?
Okay. Just trying to put it together.
Yeah, that's okay.
You're doing fantastic.
Take your time, take your
Thanks.
time.
So I guess I should mention, like, part of our shelter services also includes a focus on the children who come into the program. Okay, I guess I'll do it that way.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
Also included in our domestic violence program, there is a focus on children who have been exposed to domestic violence. We currently have a program in a community that can treat children who have been traumatized by being exposed to domestic violence. It is called a Safe Spaces program, as well as the children who are in our shelter space. There is services offered to them so that they can be in a safe environment and hopefully start that healing process as well from the negative experiences that they've had prior to coming into our place.
Great.
Women Rising's, okay, I'm gonna try this from your way. So is Women Rising's goal to break the cycle of domestic violence? And that's what those services.
So this is an addendum to what she just said? Okay, so just so I know, because when I need to kind of have, again, context for what you're saying. So, then do you want to elaborate on what she said? This is in relationship to the children's services. Go ahead.
Our goal here at Women Rising's Domestic Violence Services is to provide comprehensive work, not only for the parents, not only for that single mom or women that are facing domestic violence, but also for their children, so that through education, through advocacy, we can break the cycle of domestic violence. We can help people heal from their trauma and move on to have a fulfilling life and enjoy what a healthy relationship should really look like.
That's great. Really good answers. So let's talk about those support groups then. So tell us about that.
Our domestic violence program also offers support groups on a weekly basis. These are safe environments for people to come together and be able to really bond over this experience that they've had that normally nobody would want to disclose. Nobody would even feel safe enough to talk about. And that's the power in the groups. It's all these women getting together to share their experience, to learn from each other, and to really feel empowered to know that if someone else out there has had the same experience they've had and they're thriving and they've been able to move on, so can they. And this is really the magic behind support groups. It's one of the reasons why we enjoy being able to offer this.
I thought that answer was phenomenal. I felt empowered.
Me too.
Are these services offered in multi-languages?
Keeping in mind the diversity in our community, we do offer services in different languages, not only Spanish, but there are also other languages that are covered by the staff members here at Women Rising, such as Arabic, as well as Southeast Asian. I'm sorry, I messed that up. Okay.
So, okay, relax, take
Okay.
a big breath,
You're doing amazing.
and just go back to the language issue from the beginning.
Okay. Should I list them or just keep it like, yes, it's broad?
I do like that you said diversity and not only Spanish, Arabic, and Southeast Asian, because
Okay. Keeping in mind the diversity in the community that we're located in, it's very important for us to offer services that meet the needs of those people that we serve. Our services are not only offered in English, but also Spanish, Arabic, and Southeast Asian languages.
Southeast Asian, would that be like India, or is that different?
It's a bunch of them. It would be Hindi, Urdu, and there's,
Chinese.
Probably.
Do you have because it seems like New Jersey has a pretty big Indian population. You get a lot of, and it seems like there's a lot of domestic violence. Is there with Indian women?
yes, to be honest, we see it among all cultures, but particularly here in this area, there is a large Southeast Asian population, and we are so grateful to have staff members who do speak the language and are able to provide that service directly to the clients. It certainly helps them feel welcomed and more at ease when they can come in and speak with someone in their own language, which they're more comfortable in.
And in the shelter, do you provide certain foods to maintain that diversity as well?
Yes, so the topic of diversity is very broad, right? And when we are trying to create a safe space for the victims who are entering into our shelter, we do try our best to meet those needs of diversity and that come also with culture. So at the shelter space, we do try our best to offer different choices. We also get feedback from the clients who are staying with us, what would be more suitable to their experience, to their culture, to their religious practices as well.
Great. So we were hoping you could kind of take us through the programs from a client perspective. So if you call Women Rising, you're in imminent danger.
Okay.
What does it look like?
Okay. If you are someone who is in imminent danger and you reach our 24-hour hotline services, which is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you will immediately get connected with a hotline staff member who will inform you of different possibilities, different services that Women Rising offers, such as the emergency domestic violence shelter, counseling services, legal advice as well, legal guidance in terms of obtaining restraining orders. For somebody who's facing this tough situation, they would automatically be connected to information, and we will help them make the better decision for themselves and for their children.
Yeah, I think that's great. Maria, did you see anything missing from the DV services, not knowing as much as maybe we do?
No, I think everything was covered.
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessary to have every single, I mean, it's just the overall general, because
Mhm.
not everyone's gonna really remember every single point, but I think that what we get is just really good. Do you?
There's also the problem of getting too much information,
Okay.
because I need to be able to break this, you're
For
looking
sure.
at like, what, an hour you said?
30 minutes.
30 minutes, and she's done 15, 16 minutes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure that we had enough
I-
content.
So when it comes to editing, then of course, I'm like, okay, what's important, what's not important.
Yeah, can I just ask her to do one more little short
Yeah,
segment?
no, I'm just.
And then that's it, and then yes, absolutely, we have
Yeah.
to keep that in mind, but we just wanna make sure that there's, more, and we'll figure that out, but I just really, I feel like it would be powerful to add a little bit of emotion to this about how it makes you feel when you're doing this work, like, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a specific client story or anything like that, but just kind of overall, like, you know, what your feelings are when it comes to the work that you do.
Okay.
Especially if maybe that could be like the COVID time.
I was gonna add that. So
Perfect.
can I?
Yeah, since we do have so much content.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So can I mention now so DV and COVID-19, and then I guess I will go into like.
Yeah, but keep
How-
it brief,
keep it-
no need to, get
Okay.
too detailed, because we already have such
Could
amazing
you just
content.
fix the tape kind of fell off, so
Oh.
just kind of stick it back there for me.
Is that good there, or
Yeah,
does it
that's
show?
fine.
That's fine.
That's great, thank you.
Okay. Domestic violence is the age-old pandemic before the COVID-19 pandemic. Victims of domestic violence really faced even more difficulty during the last couple of months that we've experienced. We have to keep in mind that for domestic violence victims, they weren't just facing an external threat like the rest of us were, but they were also facing an internal threat right within the four walls of their homes. For these victims, it was a very crucial time to be able to access us in immediate, direct ways. And here at Women Rising, we had to reinvent ourselves overnight, pretty much, to be able to still connect with clients in their time of need. When I think back on the last couple of months, I am just filled with anxiety, with fear, with worry, and I know that a lot of our clients were going through the same emotions that we have experienced. It was a very difficult time for us as service providers to ensure that we were fully there, that we were fully present in this global crisis that we were all dealing with. And it really means a lot to me to have been able to be there, whether through phone calls, whether through any other platforms that were safe to utilize with our clients to ensure that they could still get to us, that they could still receive information and advocacy, safety planning, connections with other service providers in the community in order to get to safety, because domestic violence doesn't stop. Before the pandemic, during the pandemic, this is something that we are continuously working on and want to be there to provide our services and assistance to clients as they need it.
Okay? You got it?
I think, just maybe the thank you that you wanted to hear.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. We really want to thank our community supporters for their donations, for their contributions. And on behalf of our clients, we truly thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you for your generosity and the outpouring of love, because that is what allows us to continue to make extraordinary differences in people's lives. Thank you for allowing us to help every woman, every child, every family that we have serviced and will continue to service. And we can't do that without your help. Thank you.
Let's do that again, but this time, say it directly to the camera,
Okay.
all right?
Why don't you just try to remember that?
Exactly like that.
You're doing great, don't, yeah.
Okay. We really want to thank, sorry, let me put it over.
We have time, don't
Yeah,
worry, Erica,
yeah.
yeah.
You're not being
Okay.
rushed at all, you have plenty of time.
Thanks, okay. We want to take this time to thank our community supporters for their donations, for their contributions, because without your generosity and your outpouring of love, we would not be able to do the amazing work that we do here at Women Rising. Thank you for allowing us to make extraordinary differences in the lives of every woman, every child, and every family that we service. From the bottom of our hearts and on behalf of our clients, we thank you.
It was excellent. So who are you?
I'm Lisa Schauger.
And,
Donald Schauger Sr.
okay, so here's what I want you to do, Don. Would you spell your last name for me?
Donald, Richard, Schauger, Shauger.
S-H-A-U-G-E-R.
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 Yep.
Okay. What kind of name is that? Like German or French or what is that? Why is it funny?
That's a story for another time.
Story. Listen, July 2nd of this year, I found out my father's not my father. I'm not a Shogger.
23andMe.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Wait, wait.
so we,
How did you find out that you?
our daughter went and had her 23andMe done.
Wait, you had your head what then?
Our daughter
Yeah.
went and had her 23andMe done.
Did
What's
DNA.
that? What's
DNA.
DNA,
Oh, it's DNA.
Ancestry.com.
Yeah, okay, so wait, this
Yeah.
is interesting. So
Yeah.
what happened?
So when she found out who she thought was her first cousin, my brother's son
Right.
found out it was her second cousin. So that they didn't have the same grandfathers, meaning that my father.
She came up as a half cousin
So that's why we're laughing
versus
so
a
much.
first cousin. It's a long, long story.
Long story.
So wait, so your father is not your father?
No.
Well, he's
But I didn't.
deceased.
He left when I was 3. I never met him.
Oh,
Oh, you never met him?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, no. Well, no. I met him when I was 20. And we.
Wait, you met your father?
No, not
It's
2017.
18.
Yeah, because then I met him.
Yeah, 18 we
Right.
met. So
Wow,
yeah.
this is the most confusing thing I ever heard.
So my father
to our
left I was born in 66. My father left. I was born in 63. My father left in 66.
Okay, and you were raised by your mom?
I was my single parent, born and raised on welfare. The only way we ate is during holiday times. The church would give us baskets.
Yep.
We were on welfare. My brothers and I slept in one bed without just a box spring without a mattress. The building, which is now our office, used to be the local ShopRite. My mother would go there and pay with food stamps. I didn't want people to see her paying with food stamps. I run outside. Now I'm the largest private employer of minorities in that building.
In East Orange.
We have the largest prisoner reentry.
Did you ever find out, like, what your background is?
Well, again, I just found out now I'm 46% Italian.
Oh, right.
Thought I was German. So yeah, it was always a hidden joke because my brothers and my sister who passed away, we never looked like, but we never took it serious. It was always a joke. But when a joke becomes reality, it's not a good feeling.
No.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and excuse me, and then when my cousin graduated from college, she was a biology major. And we brought our daughter to the graduation party. Our daughter has blue eyes. So my cousin said, "Where did Marissa get those beautiful blue eyes?" And I said, "Well, you're both brown." "Well, it's possible because it's recessive." And I said, "Well, actually, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law both have blue eyes." And she said, "That's genetically impossible for Dawn to have brown eyes." And we were like, "What?"
But we never paid mind to it.
But we kind of like just blew it off
blew it
and
off.
whatever.
But
Well, you guys are complicated.
he was meant. I believe he was meant to find out for a reason. So
So
No,
There's a reason.
God has a purpose.
God has,
Yeah, he
God
has a plan.
So
He has-
that's why we were laughing so
He
much
has a
because we just
plan.
found this out July 2nd.
Well, I'm glad I asked, because that's very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
on your side of the table, not my side.
Well, I'm full Italian, so I can appreciate this. Yeah, that's
maybe you're
great.
related.
Yeah, I don't know, Lombardi, I don't know. I mean, I was hoping I would be related to Vince, but
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
I had a chance of that.
Okay.
So why
So-
are you guys here?
So we're here because we've been a supporter of Women Rising now for several years, and we were blessed to come to Women Rising. Suez, which is a water company, actually introduced us to Women Rising, and I had the pleasure of touring the place and really just fell in love with it, and we are just so grateful to be here today.
Well, what prompted you to come? What was it about Women Rising that made you feel like, wow, this is
Well-
the cause that I feel drawn
I'll
to?
tell you. Well, again, 7.5 years ago, when Suez came to us and said, Donnie, we're involved with the organization in Jersey City, Women Rising, that specializes in women and women with needs that have children. A woman with a child is the last one who will ever ask for help. I was born and raised in a single parent. My mother raised 5 of us. We were poorer than poor, and we were truly blessed growing up in West Orange that we had different organizations that helped us. And even the fact that when our sister passed away, she was sick her whole life of a kidney disease. The Mayor's Sunshine Fund covered all her funeral expenses because my mother couldn't afford at the time to pay for her funeral. So any organization that's involved with single parents, single mothers with kids, we're very involved with. Like I said, we've been blessed to get involved with Suez 7.5 years ago, but in Newark, New Jersey, we were involved with another homeless shelter where 11 years ago we did an extreme makeover of the homeless shelter. So that's how it originally started. Lisa and I, who've been together since high school, our philosophy is to pay it forward and never forget where we came from.
And we were really honored, to be selected to, to be a recipient of this award for I just lost my train of thought.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna.
Okay. No, I meant to say the Suez Corporate Award. Okay.
So,
Are we practicing?
No.
We are not.
Oh,
No.
oh, okay.
because the best video is just normal conversation.
Okay,
Really.
okay.
So, tell us about that. You're getting an award.
Yes, we are. We're actually receiving the Suez Corporate Award, and
All
we're,
right, so let's start that again, so we get that.
It's the
Sure.
first, and it's the first
it's
one.
the first
Yeah.
Suez Corporate Award.
Okay, so let's start that whole thing again. So,
Okay.
tell us
Want me to
about
do this? Want me to do
tell us about the award that you're getting.
Okay, so we are, see where we're
Do we
getting.
want to practice? It's
Yeah.
the Suez Corporate Partner
Yeah,
Award.
right, it's this,
Do you
right.
want me to do it?
Yeah, I have to
No, you got it.
gather my
Okay.
thoughts for a second. Yeah, yeah.
It's confusing, and it's the first year with it, so, the second year. Suez did get it last year, so. Yeah.
Okay.
So Suez got their own award.
Suez named the award, yeah. And then took it.
And then took it. That's how we do it.
I want to do the Donald Schauger Award. Go ahead.
You totally get
I was
it.
just gonna say, we did the Donald Trump award.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, we're honored to receive this year's Suez Corporate Sponsored Award.
And why?
Well, because Women Rising is an organization that we have a tremendous amount of respect for. We are just so, I had the pleasure of touring this facility a few years ago, and I was just so impressed with the amount of support that are given to women and children in need. Between the counseling that they receive, between the transitional housing services they receive, I just found it very, very impressive, and also the way they're able to rise these people up from the most difficult situations that they encounter, and how they're able to just move on and succeed in life. It's a true success story.
And again, with the nicest thing for us is that to receive the Suez Corporate Award, and it's the first year that they're awarding it to another person, it's an honor for us because Suez and Schauger have the same type of philosophy of giving back to the community. Throughout the year with Women Rising, for example, we just did the back to school book bag giveaway that are filled with school supplies for the needy kids here in Jersey City, and we gave a bunch to Women Rising to give away. We're a corporate sponsor with Suez with the golf outing, so that's a great, which is coming up in a few weeks, which is a great opportunity, again, to give back to the community. So it's pretty simple between A, our background, the way we grew up, B, having a service partner like Suez to guide us and we work with them, and then have a phenomenal organization like Women Rising. It's a no-brainer because we are truly building the foundation of the next generation. If people didn't do what they did for my family, and if people didn't give back to us, I don't think we would be sitting here today. I don't know what my future would have been, but I do know what my future is because of the backbone that I had from the community in West Orange. I've been privileged and honored to grow in West Orange. My tagline has always and will always been, I wasn't raised in West Orange, I was raised by West Orange. So now here being a corporate client, a corporate contractor here in the great city of Jersey City, the same philosophy I had as a kid growing up on Main Street, pulling my wagon and going to the local taverns and shining shoes, I have today as a business owner. What does that mean? It's important that the communities that we're working in, that we're involved in, it's important that the companies that we work for, like Suez, we're involved with the community. And when you put the three together, Suez, Schauger, and Women Rising, it's a win. It's not a win for each of us, it's a win for the next generation.
It truly takes a village to raise a child. And most of the women that come here are single moms. And it really takes a village and a community to get them to the next step. And the way they empower women to like get back into the workforce and just the counseling that they received. I mean, when I was here on the tour a few years ago, or maybe it was 2 years ago, I met with each individual from the different departments, and I was just so impressed on how these women are able to go and have counseling. They're able to have counseling with not just with themselves, but they actually also offer family counseling, which is really, really important, and how they really get them back into the workforce and how they empower them. And, you know, we really believe in their mission. Their mission is very, very impressive, and that's another reason why we find it, Women Rising, to be such a successful place.
Have you been able to interact with any of the women that have been helped? Have you seen or heard any of their success stories?
There was a woman about 2 years ago at the gala who spoke, and she had been a client of Women Rising for about a year and a half, I believe. I don't remember her name, but she was out, she was working full-time, she was back into her career, and she was doing very, very well. And she credited Women Rising and the whole community for her success.
Does this whole, especially given your background, does this inspire you to do even more?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, growing up, I had a full scholarship to Upsala College in East Orange, New Jersey. It was great to have a scholarship for the education, but I couldn't afford to go because I couldn't afford the books, I couldn't afford the housing, and I had to work to help support my family. So now, with what's going on right now, with the way we're able to give back is just truly a blessing. 7, 8 years ago, right after Sandy, we were at the United Negro Foundation Scholarship Award. Little petite young lady gets up and thanks the the United Negro Foundation for the scholarship. Told a very, very sad story. When she was done with her story, Lisa and I walked over to her and introduced ourselves. And she told us her name. We talked to her, and we said, well, at least you have a scholarship that will pay for your, because she lost her dad during Sandy. At least you have a scholarship. She goes, oh, Mr. Schauger, it's a nice scholarship. It's $5,000, but it doesn't pay for my whole education. Lisa kicked me, and she says, Don, you know what we're going to do? We paid for her whole scholarship for her whole degree. Then we talked to her, and she said, well, do you have a job? And she says, no. And she lived in Vailsburg, Newark. And she goes, well, Monday you start at Schauger. She goes, well, Mr. Schauger, I can't get to work. I said, no problem. Either A, we would send a driver, somebody to pick you up every day, or we would pay for a cab. So she stayed with us during her whole college degree. She's now a college graduate, and she's working in the medical field. How can life get any better than that? Than building and giving back to people who need, and you're building the next generation. With everything that's going on in the world right now, we need to stop, we need to look, and we need to just build for the next generation and not worry, is it red or blue? We have to do what's right.
Yeah. Do you think it's even more critical now than it was, let's say, 10 years ago, the need that Women Rising are meeting?
I think right now in the times of COVID, we definitely need to really, really pull together. I mean, I remember after 9/11, I remember everyone just pulled together and just really just supported each other. We need that same mentality now. We really need it more so than ever. Our country's becoming very divided right now, and so we really need everyone to just kind of join together and during these times right now, more than ever.
So for those who would look at you guys as an example, and what would you say to the next Don Schauger that comes along? What would you say to them?
I would say that I would encourage you, if you can donate to this organization, I would say this is an organization that you would definitely be very instrumental in turning around a lot of lives. People here are really in need, and they're willing to step up. They're willing to step up, they're willing to work, And I would encourage those people to donate any way they can to help with this organization.
You guys are great. Is there anything that we're missing here?
So Don has something he's gonna say. I think that your part in the beginning about the story about your mom, that the Lysol was in the background, so I wanna make sure that doesn't get cut, especially when you announce the
Right.
donation. So maybe when you announce as you were going to, you start from scratch with the story about your mom, and maybe whatever you wanna say about that and how it relates to your donation in her memory.
Okay.
But just knowing that I don't know what from the beginning is gonna be involved in, so just restart.
Okay.
You
Just
know,
that part, everything else was perfect and it was in.
I'm confused, so you're gonna have to.
yeah, I mean,
Maria, did I leave anything out? I mean, I know I reworded some things.
Yeah, you absolutely touched on every point.
I think that was fantastic.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
I'm a little emotional.
I'm definitely
I know,
emotional.
like,
I think you were saying Lisa Elam was who the donation went to, and I was like, that would be great.
No.
But that's beautiful.
this
and-
the girl that's father, he worked in a factory in Newark. The owner said, Joe, Mike, whatever his name is,
Right.
go move my car. He goes out in the car, the floods came in, he drowned to death.
That, he was like one of 3 that passed away.
And Ashley is like all of like 5 foot, 80 pounds soaking wet. And, so she went in there and when she got the scholarship, and I said, oh, it's so, now again, you have to understand, we're an emergency response business.
Yeah.
During Sandy, unfortunately, was very good for us, financially. So then you sit there and you hear this story, and it puts things in perspective, and you like, and then we just said, listen, and it's really, but it's exciting because, like I said, now she's graduated, she's doing good,
I
and
believe her degree was in public health.
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, and she maintained a 3.8 GPA all through school, worked very hard. I mean, she did the work. She did the work.
So
She definitely earned it. I mean, I could sit here and say we did, but she did.
Yeah, she did. You can lead the horse to the water, but you can't
She
make it
did.
drink it.
She did the work.
But again, I love when like somebody will we have the landscapers come work at our house, and we have 140 people that work for us, so I don't know everybody. So they'll come up there work, and we're out there giving them water, bringing them lunch or whatever, and then you start telling. I make sure I tell everybody my story. It's the reason I tell people my story. I want to inspire them. And that's, and our daughter's the same way, like with the homeless shelter in Newark that we rebuilt. I'll never forget it. We did Extreme Makeover, and then we went to the other organization for Christmas. So it's the first Christmas that we've ever missed not going to church. And our son was 13 at the time. And we're passing church. I said, Donnie, wow, we missed church this week. And he hit me on the head. He goes, hey, knucklehead. He goes, we were at the Apostle House, doing that.
fun.
And he says, God knows what we're doing. And I said,
Yeah.
it was pretty.
We also
that was-
want to get out of church too.
Every 13-year-old wants to go to get out of church. I'm Irish Catholic, I know.
So to kind of bring this full,
Yeah.
so you want him to start again with
Yeah.
the story? Is that-
So,
Yeah.
Don is gonna donate $10,000 on behalf of in loving memory of his mother. So I don't want your mother's story to get cut.
Yeah.
That's the point, because I don't know, because it's a different background now with the Lysol getting out of the way. That's
Okay.
all I'm concerned about.
So I guess the question is, tell us the background
Yeah.
behind this donation that you intend to give.
I just moved my chair. That'll be okay.
Well, Don, no, you're fine. You're good.
So you want me to start with the story and then at
Well, I
this
think,
end?
if you want to wrap this up around the fact that you're making this donation.
Right.
And I'm making this donation in memory of my mom, and here's why.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. This year at the gala, we're really, really honored. Number one, to be honored. B, to be the first recipient, let me start again, because we're the first recipient of the Suez corporate.
Yes.
Right.
This year's gala, and as we all know, it's virtual, and I truly hope and pray that all your family and everybody is safe. Starting over.
Go to me.
Okay.
So you just talk to me.
See, I lost my whole train of thought. You
Sorry.
see?
Just talk to me
Yeah.
though.
So this year's gala is truly special to Lisa and I. Not only that we're being honored as the Suez corporate service partner, but this year we're going to be making a $10,000 donation in memory of my mother. My mother was the strongest woman that I've ever met. I've been blessed in my life to have two amazing women in my life. First and foremost, my mother, who can never be replaced. And second, my wife, my business partner, the mother of my children, who can and will never be replaced. This year, Lisa and I have agreed to donate in memory of our mother $10,000. My mother raised 5 of us on her own. Unfortunately, my sister was terminally ill and passed away at the age of 25 of cancer, of kidney disease. My mother couldn't afford to bury her. The Mayor's Sunshine Fund in West Orange paid for her funeral. Growing up in West Orange, the church helped us. The church would bring food baskets to our house during the summer, during the holidays. My mother would shop, and she would at the local ShopRite on Dodge Street in East Orange, New Jersey. When she would go pay with food stamps, I would run outside because I didn't want people to see my mother pay with food stamps. I'm proud to say today that same ShopRite is our corporate headquarters, where we employ over 120 people, where we employ a prisoner reentry program, where we're one of the largest employers of minorities in the city of East Orange. So giving back to the community is so important because I sit here today only because of 3 reasons: my faith and my belief in God, my mother being my rock, and absolutely the community that I was raised in that was always there. I have said, and I will always say, I wasn't raised in West Orange. I was raised by West Orange. I'm proud to say that, but I'm more proud that the same philosophy that people did for me growing up we're doing, Lisa and I. And when Suez came to us as a corporate partner and recommended getting involved with Women Rising, we didn't hesitate. We didn't hesitate because A, it's an amazing, phenomenal organization that is helping the current generation and it's building the foundation for the next generation. B, we're proud to be a service partner with Suez in the great city of Jersey City. Some will say it's the largest city in New Jersey. Some will say it's the second. But it's #1 city in New Jersey with organizations like Women Rising, organizations like Suez. And we're just proud to be part of it. And at the end of the day, it's not what we do today, it's how we build tomorrow.
You're really an inspiration, really.
That's great, guys.
You really are. If we just want a little bit extra content, but we're gonna try and get you out of here by 11:15, so.
Right, but so for the client story, it's just about, we had a client who, while receiving, a client within,
Tell it from the perspective, remember when
Yeah.
we sat with,
because I'm trying not
Gloria?
to, I don't want to say the story.
Yes.
To then, I just want to go straight to
So
what
remember
we
when we sat
did.
down with Gloria,
Yeah.
a fake name, and she told me verbatim what she told you, and you translated to me, verbatim what she went through. And
Yeah.
then I wrote that story that was completely unrelated to the specific words she was saying.
Yeah.
Take it from that point of view, because what you did for this client was beyond the DV. So you empowered her, you saw her through. So you talk about the DV because it's relevant and it existed and it happened, and then you come at it from the other perspective. So not from the idea that you saw her through TV, you got her back on her feet.
So I want to open it up with, we had a client who was seeking, we had a client who experienced low self-esteem due to recently getting a restraining order and having to start from zero.
You can mention DV. You don't have to go around.
But I mentioned it there, because I know I don't have that much time. So I
Yes.
think just, leaving a situation, restraining order, starting from zero, I think that's a pretty good groundwork. So I'm not like, she experienced physical
Exactly.
and, I don't want to go too deep. So I just wanted to get that clear in my head.
And when you're in these sessions with somebody, what they leave and what the next session you don't have to go through. So when you told Gloria to let go of the baggage, and then she came in and the baggage was gone, that's what you do when you're in these sessions with the client. So you can come through it with that perspective. It's almost like you're creating a metaphor for the actual situation that happened. And you are actually doing this. Like, clients are sitting down with you and then leaving feeling better about their life. Everyone sits down with you and leaves feeling better about their life. So just come through it with that point of view and that perspective, and you'll be safe. But I think that you should start by going through the holistic approach and that's programmatic side of things.
Yeah, definitely start with that and then go into the client story,
Exactly.
yeah.
You know what to do.
Okay, so, say your full name, and then spell your full name for me, and then tell us what your position is.
All right, so my name's Argelis Hernandez, Argelis, Hernandez with an H, ends with a Z. My position is team leader for the Youth and Family Department within Women Rising. I oversee 2 programs, FAP, which provides services for children and families, providing in-home family counseling services, and FSS, that provides individual counseling services here in agency.
So, what's your educational background? What did you have? What kind of a degree do you have?
So I have a BA in sociology and a MA in social work, and I'm also a licensed social worker in the state of New Jersey.
Okay, cool. How long have you been doing it?
5 years,
And do you like it?
yes.
Yeah. Why do you like it?
It's seeing people experience trauma in the moment and also seeing how they overcome their trials and tribulations with time. It's a beautiful thing to witness.
So you're working directly with the clients?
Yes,
Yeah, specifically women here at Women Rising.
yes.
And so tell me about that.
We provide services to, wait, I didn't get the question too much.
Well, just tell me, like, you know, what's your involvement with the women directly?
Okay, so we provide counseling services. We can assist with advocacy, anyone who's dealt with a form of trauma, grief, trying to process anything that they have experienced that has either brought them to feel a decrease in self-esteem or lack of empowerment, and we provide them with the tools to be able to become self-sufficient.
Really quickly, can you remind everyone that all of our services are free, but it's specifically free counseling as well?
Yeah, the Youth and Family Department within Women Rising provides free counseling services, and we provide services from anyone as young as 8 years old and above.
Do you ever feel like that it's too much emotionally for you, or do you feel like you're empowered by that?
It's definitely empowering because we do give a holistic approach. We try to work with people where they're at and then move from there. So we do a step-by-step approach, and if there's a lot going on at the time, we say, okay, so what is something that we can accomplish today? What is something that when you leave this office you can feel a little bit better about? So that's what we really do hound on. So it can be a little bit daunting at first, but we try to take a step back and say, okay, this is what we're dealt with, and these are some steps that we can take to at least get somewhere.
So describe that holistic approach then. What's involved with that?
The holistic approach is definitely remaining present within the session. What these women lack is having someone listen to them. They've experienced so many things, they've been victimized, and it could be not just from their abusive partner, it could be family members who deem them to remain in abusive relationships due to cultural reasons, or friends who either take whomever's side, or children who even want their parents to stay together. So in this sense, we do provide them a listening ear and say, we hear you, we're here for you, and we want to do our best to help you feel better about yourself and whatever you decide to do moving forward.
How long does it take normally to, like, if you somebody come in initially and meet with you, how long is that process to really get them to a point where you feel like you've made, significant progress?
As long as it takes. We are compassionate, where if someone is here and they're crying, we're not looking at our watch and say, all right, let's speed it up, we got lunchtime coming. We give them as much time as they need to in order to feel comfortable with us, to want to share, because for employees, it could be just another person. When the person who's coming in, this is the first time they're actually saying out loud the abuse that they've experienced. So we try to acknowledge that. We try to feel with them and sit with them, and whenever they decide to either want to come back and start again, so we can go back and talk about things that they want to work on, we give them that space to do so.
Just remember to answer the questions like you're repeating it back instead of answering him directly. So if I say like, what is your name? My name is. So there's a word for that.
Paraphrasing?
Like include the question almost in your response.
Okay.
Because he won't be on the video, only you will be.
Okay.
So they don't know what he's asking. Also, maybe there are 12 session times. So if you could kind of give us maybe a success timeline, maybe by session 5, sometimes you already started to see a breakthrough in the client, and then 6, 7, 8 is more focused on how, now they're already through their trauma in a way. Now you're focusing on how we get them to be more self-sufficient. So not that's just an example, you know better.
Okay. So can I re-answer that question? Can you say it to me one more time?
I was distracted.
I forget what his question was. But, how long does that typically take? That's what he asked. But your answer was beautiful. It gave a background into other things, but that's just more like an answer.
But I can do another version, right?
But that's also recorded too, so that's fine. It was good.
Okay.
It was great.
As long the time that it takes for a client to come within our doors, we do provide roughly 12 sessions. We see about the 5th session where the goals that they've established are starting to meet them if they've been meeting with the counselor consistently. And we definitely praise them for all the work that they've done, because not only is counseling services us giving them the tools, but they also take those tools out into their own personal lives and include them in their everyday routine. And we do hold them accountable for it, so we do ask them and we make sure. So usually around the 5th session, we see them beginning to accomplish certain goals, and the remainder sessions really focus on consistency and how they can make this into a routine instead of just a regular goal that they've accomplished.
So it's pretty much a lifestyle change at that point then?
It is a lifestyle change for the clients, where they can come in and say, I can't obtain a job, or I can't learn the English language, or I can't be the parent that my kids want me to be. And through the services that we provide to them, they start to see within their own eyes this new version of themselves flourish.
Do you get a lot of resistance from the women at first?
Some resistance that we get is a lot of self-doubt in regards to what they can and cannot do, because with abuse from any sense, whether it be from a partner or a parent or a roommate that they've lived with, it's been someone telling them that they can't do something or they don't have the ability to do something. And we want to make sure that even though that resistance is brought, it's something that's been taught to them, and we just want to reverse that form of thinking for them and combat any negative thoughts so they can change it to then positives to empower them.
I mean, do you find that this abusive pattern starts well before they get into the abusive relationship?
Abusive pattern can definitely stem from youth, and it could be seen within parents, grandparents, aunt and uncles, anything that they've been exposed to. And that will come through in young adulthood or older adulthood. And until that cycle is broken through seeing someone in the professional setting and being able to talk and freely express their concerns or what they've experienced and the trauma that they've had, is when we can begin to work on breaking that cycle.
So do you have a living proof example of the work that you're doing?
An example is a client that was seeking to increase her self-esteem after leaving an abusive situation, obtaining a restraining order, and having to start from zero. She had no money, no furniture, and had recently just gotten employed. And through the work, through assisting her and obtaining a job, assisting her and obtaining legal services so she can work on her immigration status and becoming a permanent resident, also providing her the tools to cope, increase her self-esteem through different activities of self-care that she can do on a daily regimen, and also connecting her child to therapeutic services since the child was also exposed to the abuse that was happening into the home, to continue to form their parent-child bond. And after some time working through it, I want to say around the 8th session of services, she was able to have her home fully furnished. Women Rising was able to support her in getting kitchen supplies, so she was able to cook for her and her daughter, and that was also a bonding activity, and they like to make cupcakes together, so they've been doing that every weekend. And she's been able to hang out with some friends that she hasn't been able to hang out with. She has felt better about her body image. She's applied makeup, she's done her hair, she's changed up her wardrobe, and she no longer allows her previous partner to taunt her or belittle her through words, and she's learned that she cannot control how other people may react to her, she cannot control how other people, wow.
You're good, you're good.
Okay,
Influence her own view of herself, really, right?
yeah, she cannot control how other people influence her, but she can control how she can react to it.
Right.
So that's what she's been focusing on, and she's been very thankful for the services that she's received here.
That's awesome. I just think that we could get a few one-liners out of you. Can you tell us, like, Women Rising's tagline? Women Rising helps women and families through crisis to self-sufficiency.
Women Rising supports families and children through self-sufficiency and crisis intervention, especially within the Youth and Family Department. We have counselors who man phone lines throughout the day to help anyone who is in need of additional referrals or to have gained access into our programs.
There were some other things I just thought would be good coming from you. I think that you are the perfect interviewee, but like maybe if you had a sentence that you could say that has a little bit more spunk, like excitement, like if you could go back to that client story and talk about how excited it made you to see her in a positive, because you're beautiful when your face lights up and when you glow based on the work you do. So just kind of elaborating on the excitement that seeing the clients at the end of your sessions gives you, whether it be that client or another.
So I guess, so to put it like in a simple form, like what did the client that you just told us about, what inspires you about her story?
What inspired me the most about that client was her energy when she was going through our sessions and said, yeah, I can definitely do that. I can definitely focus on myself more. I can definitely push my limits. And seeing her do that and watching her laugh, watching her talk to me about all her future plans. She wants to visit her family again in December when she gets some documentation in from immigration, giving her the okay to travel. Her face just lights up, and it just makes me feel so good seeing how far she's come.
Yeah. Let's give one more example too, and let's see it in your face. Not her, another story of what it's like seeing generally what the clients are like. Or even seeing, since you're a team leader, and I know we're not dwelling on your specific position, but seeing breakthroughs for other staff members and how excited that makes you. Whatever really gets you to that point of excitement that you want to touch on.
In essence, what's the most motivating thing that you see happening around you here?
The most motivating thing for me is seeing individuals come in nervous, scared, not sure what other paths that they're going to go through, and seeing the counselors I supervise, providing them the tools to help, and months later being thankful, receiving hugs from them, receiving letters, receiving paintings. We have them all over pastored through our office of signs of gratitude from our clients that they came in with an initial mindset and they're leaving with hope. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice job.
See?
All right. So, Roseanne,
Testing.
would you say your full name and spell your full name for me?
Roseanne Mazzeo, Roseann Mazzeo.
Is that a good Italian name?
Absolutely.
Right.
There are only good Italian
Oh,
names.
they're only good, like Lombardi. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. And are you Italian?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Like first generation, second generation, third generation?
All the way,
So you're
Totally.
full Italian?
yes.
And I mean, did you come from Italy or did your parents?
No, my grandparents came from
My
Italy.
grandparents came from
Yeah.
Italy as well. Did they come
Mhm.
through Ellis Island?
They came, yes, they did. And they came from the province of Basilicata, Pescopagano.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you speak Italian?
No, I don't. I look Italian, so if I'm in Italy, they speak to me in Italian.
Do they? Yeah.
And expect a response.
Yeah, I'm third generation Italian.
Uh-huh.
My grandparents all came through Ellis Island.
Yeah.
My parents were born here and spoke Italian, but never were in the house, so we never picked anything up.
Mhm.
So as a result, I know nothing.
Mhm.
Did you?
My grandparent, my one grandmother, the only grandparent who was alive when I was born, spoke Italian all the time.
And how about your parents?
I'm sorry, what?
Your parents speak
They,
Italian?
yes, they did. My
Okay.
mother felt she spoke better than my father did
And did
because
you
they were
pick-
from
did
two
you pick it
different
up?
dialects. I picked up a few words, but it was never, the only time they used it was if they didn't want the children to know what they were talking about.
I think you're right. Did they settle here in Jersey City?
Yeah. One of them not initially, but her family was elsewhere.
Now, how about you? Have you always been in Jersey City?
Yeah, I lived for about 5 years in the suburbs.
Which ones? Which suburbs?
Convent Station.
Station, is that New Jersey?
Yeah, it's up near Morristown.
Oh, up in Warsaw, okay, not familiar with that. Good, so, Roseanne, what's your position here?
I'm the executive director.
Okay, and how long have you been the executive director?
This is about since 2007.
Was there an executive director before you?
Oh, yes,
Okay, and
for about 100 years.
100 years, really?
Yeah, we're 150.
The organization's 115 years
I
old,
guess it's
yes.
a while to get that tidbit
Yes.
out there.
The YWCA, founded as a YWCA, the precursor to Women Rising.
Oh, really? That's interesting. So, what made you decide to become a part of this organization?
I worked in the county and knew the organization for a number of years, and also knew and was available for a position when they were seeking an executive director. So, it's a good fit.
Why is that?
Its priority is women and families, vulnerable populations, raising up and empowering women, and we know that women are key in terms of the health and welfare and education of their families. So if a woman is able to get the health care she needs, she assures that the family does. If women participate in the economy, it's shown around the world that economies do better, local economies do better, so we're very focused on self-sufficiency of women and families. And all of the programs relate in some way to achieving that goal. We've seen, so that's my background and my focus and my priority in terms of primarily urban areas and populations that are disenfranchised and or discriminated, so that very much fits many people around our nation today. People of color, women, people, immigrants, folks who don't speak English, LGBTQ, and people of lower socioeconomic classes.
So, I mean, you've been here, I'm sorry, what year did you?
2007, I was made the permanent director.
Okay. So what's been the biggest challenge you faced in leading an organization like Women Rising?
There are always major financial issues, and nonprofits are, nonprofit is not a business model. It's really a tax designation. So we have to have a business model, and that will be self-sustaining for the organization and for the clients. So we can't help the clients become self-sufficient if the organization isn't self-sufficient. So I think raising up the visibility of the organization and raising up the needs of the community, making public the needs of individuals. They're not private needs. They're across the board. And so the financial sustainability, and developing the relationships, and engaging the support of all sectors of the community, the public sector, the public officials, the corporate sector, the businesses, small businesses. We are a small business. We're a nonprofit, but we're a small business. So we are experience especially during economic downturns, losses and difficulties that make it more challenging to recover from. So those are some of the. Then the financial has all sorts of implications. The financial obviously relates to what our salaries are, what our compensation is. The work is very challenging and requires a lot of commitment. And people should be compensated in kind. So we work very hard at trying to do that. So we have a lot of different types of funding, and trying to raise up the private funding as much as we can from individuals and corporations, businesses, and so.
Yeah, I ran a nonprofit private school for 18 years, and finances
There you go.
was our biggest concern,
Mhm.
every paycheck.
Right.
So I understand
Yeah.
that completely.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because it's a freestanding, this is an independent freestanding organization, so it's not like you're part of a larger institution like a hospital, for instance, where you know the payroll is going to be.
Right.
It's
So, how, sort of being, and I know this because I was in a position like yours, how do you measure the success of the organization when you're not really on the day-to-day with the clients, on the one-to-one,
Mm-hmm.
right on the battlefield?
Mhm.
So how do you measure the success of what you're doing?
Mhm. Well, I think our staff are the direct service staff are the folks who are the first line, and so our managers, and I depend on them to feed back to us what their experiences are, what the needs are. I think we're always looking to know what are new needs, or what are particular needs at this time. So during the beginning of COVID, the basic necessities, food, clothing, toiletries, diapers, they were needs. And so we were hearing that because we were asking, and also sometimes you don't have to ask, people come and they tell you what their needs are. And so we do depend on that feedback. With some of the programs with domestic violence, we see as positive outcome someone who has a safety plan, is able to know how to keep themselves safe, how to care for themselves, and move on to the next phase of life with job training programs. It's a little more concrete. How many people finished the class? How many people got jobs? How many people 3 months later are still in the jobs? How many employers do we have that are calling us saying, oh, do you have anybody that we can employ because we know you train people well and they make good employees. We have a permanent housing program, which supportive housing program, and formerly homeless families. So we can gauge positive impact by the fact that these households, all including children, are in stable housing and able to go to their regular school and the parents can begin to look for employment. And so family preservation and family dynamics, especially during COVID, has become more challenging because of this added stress, both in terms of economic resources, but also in terms of social interactions.
Yeah, it's almost kind of a shame that, to think about, well, what's the future of women? It would almost be a good thing if 10 years from now there was no need for women rising. Mm-hmm. If society mm-hmm. was going to move in that mm-hmm. direction. But given that that's not the way things normally go, mm-hmm. The law of thermodynamics and everything else being equal, things continue to get worse and mm-hmm. worse. What do you see as the future, for the need here at Women Rising?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that during the pandemic, we saw early on, and we continue to see the disparities that I mentioned earlier coming to the fore, especially in terms of access to health care. When you get health care matters. How soon you get it matters. And so I think that's been helpful in some ways in terms of waking people up, the larger community, because you couldn't avoid knowing that and seeing it. The economic disparities, you see it in terms of our job training program and the fact that many of when we converted to remote working, that many of the clients did not have devices that they could use to work online or be instructed. So it's in terms of women, the disparities in terms of women being the majority of the healthcare providers and folks who are on the front lines risking their lives, as well as most of the folks at the checkout counters are women. And so we saw that, and so there's still and the overall the racism and the need to really be more intentional and proactive about being anti-racist. I think that also came to the fore, and I know it affected this organization here. Certainly made me much more conscious of that whole dynamic, and so those are things that have been around for generations, for centuries, some would say, and but I think one of the big pluses is that there's much more awareness, much more advocacy, much more out on the streets advocacy, that people who are not wronged, so to speak, like white, middle class, upper class folks, are just as outraged as those who are being wronged and discriminated against. So I think those are hopeful signs. I tend to be a cup half full person. I tend to look on a positive side, and I think it's important that we keep hope alive, and that we be bearers of hope, because I don't see how you can continue to work in some situations, in some environments, if you don't have hope that you can change things. And that happens by working together, by working with others. You join with everyone who wants to collaborate about making life more human, and addressing these inequities. And so.
I don't think I've ever met a leader or a person in a position of authority that was not concerned ultimately about their own legacy. So what's your personal hope for your legacy that you'll leave in this place?
I think a priority to help empower women and families to raise up and to look at issues through that lens, that I've developed relationships within the community and beyond that will support the organization, that we have a humane, respectful workplace, and that I have facilitated the personal and professional development of the staff, of my colleagues, and of the people that we serve.
I mean, I don't want to limit you to anything I'm asking you, or the things that you would want to say in this video that we haven't talked about.
So Roseanne is the greeter, so, and I think you have some stuff prepared, or do you want us to kind of lead you in?
Oh yeah, so it's like good evening.
Yeah, good evening. It'll be nighttime, so good evening.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
don't
it's-
think anybody else has anything, has said anything in the greeting sense. So, I
And
think-
what's the lead in? I mean, there's the MC. Is that Ann's voiceover or something?
I think you'll be the first person to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially you.
Yeah, it'll be like
Oh.
music, we'll put some
Okay.
photos of our, activities
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff and staff.
Okay.
You'll be the first person.
Okay, no, I just didn't know if she was saying or somebody was saying anything. Okay, all right. Okay, so do you want me to?
You can just look right to the camera if you want.
Now I'm looking at the camera. I'm not
Yes.
looking at you?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, what was that? Is that like, I don't know what
Okay, let's go. All right. Okay, so, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us at our 2020 Celebration of Service. We're delighted to have you. My name is Roseanne Mazzio, and I'm the Executive Director at Women Rising. On behalf of the board, my colleagues, the staff, and all of the community that we serve, we thank you for coming tonight and for your support. This is quite a different celebration than our usual meeting and greeting and get together in person. However, we do have much to celebrate, and we certainly want to do so. More than ever, it's important that we do celebrate. I want to acknowledge our premier sponsors, MetLife, and the Lord Abbott. Okay. I want to thank them for their leadership gifts in support of this event. And I want to acknowledge our gold sponsors, silver sponsors, and bronze sponsors, and all who have individuals and corporations who have helped support this event. All of us have seen evidence of service, especially in the past several months. During this COVID crisis, we witnessed, perhaps, and became more conscious for the first time of the generosity and selflessness of healthcare workers, first responders, and so many others who put their lives on the line in order to care for our communities. Thank you all. Throughout the year, we at Women Rising experience the generosity of volunteers and individuals, corporations, small businesses, and a lot of the city and county agencies who assist us in serving clients throughout the year with the many and varied needs. So this is a celebration of those services as well. And thank you to those people. Tonight, we have 2 honorees, and we're happy to introduce to you Martha Lewin, who is our Above and Beyond honoree, and Lisa and Don Shoga, who will receive the Suez Corporate Partnership Award. You'll hear more from them later. Okay.
I thought you were reading from a teleprompter.
Same.
Okay.
I think we should just do the part about Lord Abbott again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, since I couldn't remember them.
I didn't know if I should help. I gave you a second. I was like, oh, I was trying to tell you through my mind.
Well, you know what happened? They were out of order. I didn't want to put the premier sponsors after the first couple of lines. I wanted to put them further down, and when I fell into that, I got out of my cadence.
So we just need that one segment.
Yeah, take Lord Abbott out of there. Give them back the $10,000.
Tell
So-
them they gotta pay 20. If they want that spot.
Your fee just got cut. You see. Okay, so where are we? You want me to start over?
No,
I
I just need that line.
Okay, where is that line? Okay, so I said, I want to acknowledge our event premier sponsors, MetLife and Lord Abbott.
Right, and basically that's
Okay,
it, yeah.
okay. I want to acknowledge our premier sponsors for this evening, MetLife and Lord Abbott. Thank you so much.
Because you kind of look like, oh, who are they? Come on.
Okay, I'm getting serious now.
We'll all put our serious face on. You can see it.
I want to acknowledge our premier sponsors for this event, MetLife and Lord Abbott. Thank you so much for your leadership gifts to this event and to Women Rising.
That's it, perfect.
And I love you, Lord Abbott. I'm in the beginning here. So let's see. Oh, I wanted to, let's see, who was I thanking? I thanked them, and then I want to thank our board members. No, I don't, what? Yeah, I'm just going to add, I want to thank our board members, right? And then,
I really thought.
did I may have thanked our board members already. Did I thank them?
Yeah, it could just be
Okay.
the support.
Okay, all right. Okay, so lastly, I would like to ask each of you to consider making a donation during the evening or at some other time to Women Rising to continue to support the vital services that we provide. Your donation of any amount will help our families today, tomorrow, and every day. Thank you.
Awesome. We can skip to the honorees, so we have you in like one.
Skip to the honorees, okay, sure.
One sentence, but like, let's do each individually. You don't have to say a few words about either, but if you have something written up, then that's fine too.
Do you want to, like, ask a question, or is that what the? Is that
No,
what
just
you-
introducing the honorees.
Yeah.
Individually, instead of in like one sentence.
Oh, Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, so I'm introducing Martha Lewin.
Yes, as though her part of the video is gonna come on next.
Right, right.
Because you'll be on in the beginning, and
Mhm.
then
Yes,
again.
yes, yes.
I will
Okay.
probably, in between Martha and Lisa and Don, put you in again just to introduce.
Yes,
Lisa.
oh, yeah, yeah, we decided that, we
Yes.
would do that individually. Yes, okay, okay. Okay, so, and this comes after the staff and everybody?
Yes, so
Okay.
everybody has just talked,
Mhm.
Arvely's, the clients, Erica, really eloquently about the services that we
Mhm.
offer.
Okay.
They did a fantastic
Yeah,
job.
the work with it. Okay, all right. Mhm. Okay. And now it is my honor to introduce our Above and Beyond Award honoree for this evening, Martha Lewin. Martha is known to many of you as an integral part of the YWCA and Women Rising, and we'll say more about that. But most of all, Martha is a consistent, loyal, and committed supporter of Women Rising in whatever ways she can do that. And that has included her personal presence, her time and energy, and financial resources. So Martha is a colleague and a friend to all at Women Rising. Martha, thank you.
Perfect.
Is that okay? Okay. He wasn't so sure about that. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. So did you want to say anything else about Martha? No. Okay. Okay. So okay.
Yeah.
Lisa and if that's too long, just cut out some of it. Okay. Okay. So now it's Lisa and Don Schroger. Okay. I'm honored to present to you the honorees for the Suez Partnership Award tonight, and that is Lisa and Don Schroger of the Schroger Group. Lisa and Don are passionate about the services that we provide to women and their families, and they will talk specifically about how integral that is in their lives and throughout their lives. And so we are appreciative and to have them as our tonight's honorees. Bingo. I don't like appreciative. So we're pleased to have them.
Okay.
We're pleased to have them, okay? All right, that's
You
it.
can just pick it up from there. You want
Oh, okay, yes, okay. About in their lives. We are pleased to have Lisa and Don join us tonight as the honorees.
don't look at me. Look
Oh,
at
yeah,
me
that's
when you do
right.
that. I know it's hard to keep your hand.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I know.
Realize-
I would be looking at everyone, so you're good. You're
Oh,
good.
yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at Lumix up there. Okay. Lisa, okay.
We're pleased.
Lisa and Don, okay. I'm not going back, I'm just going to the, okay. We're pleased tonight to honor Lisa and Don Schroger with the Corporate Partnership Award. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, and now the last thing is, thank you. I think she's.
So Roseanne is, yes, it's close and credits.
Yes.
So this is where, yeah, I think we were thinking we could have some of the staff stand behind, but I don't know if we necessarily need to. We could just do it here, but there is, I mean, we have a little bit of time, so we could bring some of the staff down and like maybe.
You could see who's in the building. Mhm.
Surround her in the multi-purpose room.
Latoya's here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
Latoya's
these
here,
families
like,
here.
should we do it? I mean, just.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
We can stand too and just.
We could do it right here too, I mean, the whole setting is there.
Yeah, we could, absolutely. We don't even have to move. I
Yeah.
was just thinking it might be.
The mayor of Bayonne just told me.
Does that mean that we should all wear our masks
Yes,
when we do that?
definitely.
Okay, except for,
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
yes, we gotta show it. My mask doesn't fit my face properly, so I just, maybe I need to like tape it right here, so.
We're done with the, you're on.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will see you soon, we hope.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. This isn't that hard. Let's try it again.
I'll do it again. Okay. Thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight. We hope to see you all soon. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
All right.
We've been talking you up this whole day, so Ray and Maria are really excited to hear what you have to say.
You're like Superwoman.
They're crazy. They really are crazy.
Don't listen to her. We're right. You are like Superwoman.
So, Martha, the first thing I want you to do is to say your full name and spell your full name.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My name is Martha Lewin, and you spell it Marthalewin.
And what was or is your association with Women Rising?
The first day I came here, I was residence and food service director. Try that one.
Wow.
And then after about 2 years, I became the executive director.
Well, now, what does that mean, residence?
You know, if you know anything about traditional YMCAs or YWCAs,
No, I don't
they were primarily formed as a residence for single people, working people.
Was it really?
So this particular YWCA had 79 little individual rooms,
Really?
11 floors worth of individual rooms, and a bathroom on each floor. Yeah, and so there was also a cafeteria, a huge cafeteria.
Was it the YMCA then when you got here?
No, it was a YWCA.
YMCA?
Yeah, the YMCA was down the street, and
Right,
it
but
was the same.
It was the YWCA.
Mhm.
So when did it become Women Rising? Now, did you start Women Rising?
Women Rising. Does anybody remember? Did you look up the year? 2001. So the first thing that happened. The first thing that happened was the Jersey City YWCA and the Bayonne YWCA merged and became the Hudson County YWCA. And then that must have been maybe 1989 or 1999 or 19 something. See, and then after a while we disaffiliated from the YWCA of the USA.
Why was that?
There were two main reasons. One was we didn't have much in common anymore with the programming that was being promoted by the National Y. And the other was it cost a lot of money to be affiliated. The dues was expensive, and we didn't have a lot of money. And when you put those two things together, it made sense to just say, okay, goodbye.
Okay.
And then we had a bunch of folks. Something that translated well into Spanish, which I think is Arriba. Yeah,
Oh,
that's how it.
adorable.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
And I
Yeah.
think that's a really great tidbit for the video.
That's great.
Well, see, now I lost the whole thing because I was working. So, what was the question?
And she was just going into the focus group, so how we came up with the name Women Rising.
So, Martha, how'd you come up with the name Women Rising?
We had a series of focus groups, really. Maybe 2 client groups and 2 staff groups and 2 board groups, like that. And there were really dozens and dozens of names, And somebody got the brilliant idea that we should use something that translated well into Spanish. And that's how we came up with Women Rising. A Spanish-speaking person said, how about Arriba? And Arriba became Women Rising. So
Is that what Arriba means?
apparently it means...
He's been telling you that. He doesn't know.
Yes, he does. Apparently it means something about rising, right? Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, see, that you got to have the whole word in there.
Well, we didn't. So.
I love that.
Yeah, I liked it too. Everybody liked
Yeah.
it. Once it came out, everybody liked it. There was no second guessing. Yeah.
So, Martha, what led to your becoming the executive director then?
By the time I was offered the position, I was kind of committed to the work, even though I often say, I don't say it that much anymore, but I used to say frequently, if I had seen the financial statements when I was offered the job, I probably wouldn't have taken the job. But by that time, I was committed to the community and the board of trustees and the work, and I said yes. So that's what happened. Here I am.
And when was that first off? When was it offered to you?
I came here in 1974, and the executive position was offered in 1976.
Wow. And so, what was your background? Did you have a degree in administration? Or
Yeah,
something?
public administration.
Public administration.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I had been working in the nonprofit world. I can't believe that Devin is going to the Girl Scouts. I started in Hudson County at the Girl Scout Council. I wanted to work in Hudson County because I grew up here. And I figured if I was going to try to make a difference in community development, I should try it in a place I knew. So that was a big part of my decision to come to work here.
So, I remember 1974 because I graduated from high school in 1974.
Oh, thank you.
And, it was a weird time in our country's history.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And it must have been, was it challenging for you as a woman to take hold of a public institution and lead it? What were some of the challenges?
Yeah, it was, you're saying, from what you're saying, it was a time when the entire world was changing, but Jersey City was changing dramatically, really. We were just talking about this in the car. People were moving out. If they had any money at all, they were moving to the suburbs. What was left around here was a struggling community of women and women-headed households, and a really big challenge for us was how could we address ourselves to that? How could we, if we weren't going to be traditional and we weren't going to try to compete with other recreation organizations, what were we going to do to make a difference for these women and families? And that's how we started the programs that the people here are still working in that same venue of social services, counseling, later economic development programs and advocacy. That same array of what we were trying to do is what the women here today are still trying to do, pretty successfully, actually.
Did you feel like at that time you were really not only bucking up against the system, but bucking up against culture in general?
Oh yeah, definitely. And also, just to go back, we were struggling financially. It was a miracle that we figured out how to stay alive in those days. And the way we figured it out was almost an accident. There were real estate developers knocking on the door. We'll buy your building from you. We'll give you this. We'll give you that. We'll buy. After a while, we said to ourselves, well, if they want it, if they see something in it, why can't we see what they see? So that is really, we had some wonderful advisors, and and the women on the board were so gutsy. They were really courageous, and we just got into it until we could figure out what they wanted. One of our advisors, who is still advises Women Rising, Ira Starr, was just brilliant, a brilliant, passionate guy, and so we figured out that they could develop the building into housing. Well, then we could do that too. So why couldn't we do it? And that to make a very long story short, that's what we did. So the building is about 100,000 square feet, and now 2/3 of it is self-sustaining senior citizen housing, and the rest is the 1/3 is Women Rising space, program space, counseling space. And what that did was it made the housing part self-sustaining, and it generated enough income for the YWCA to become financially stable. So it made all the difference. Without that, we might not have been here. There's some funny stories that you probably don't need to hear all of them, but one of them was we thought about abandoning the building, just leaving it. And we got a price for boarding up the windows because we wanted to leave safely, right? And we couldn't afford to board up the windows, so we couldn't leave. We had to stay. It was like that. It was like that. And one of my favorites is about the typewriter. I got to tell you this one. We had one typewriter. It was one of those.
The Royal.
It was one of those magic ball things.
Oh,
You remember them?
IBM.
Do you remember them?
The IBM
Yeah.
Selectric.
So yeah, that's what it was. We had one typewriter.
Okay.
And it wasn't working very well. We called the repairman, and he was here for about 15, 20 minutes, and he looked at me. He said, lady, he called me lady, there's nothing wrong with the typewriter. It's the temperature in this room, because we were buying oil like, maybe $100 at a time. So it was freezing. It was cold.
So you were here for like 30 years, was it?
I think I figured out the other day it must have been 31 years.
31 years.
Yeah.
So over the course of 31 years, can you point to, were there any dramatic, like, turning points in your career here that you look back and say, wow, when that happened, it changed the course of my tenure. What's one or two of those great stories that you can tell us?
One is the story I just told you about the redevelopment project. It was earth-shaking. It was just so important. And embedded in that project was $1 million loan that we got from the Ford Foundation. So it was like, wow, we have really come a long way. It was just stunning. So we had the support of the Ford Foundation, and we had an advisor from there. And she was also really wonderful. So that it was life-changing for the organization, for me, for everybody involved. It was huge. And I think maybe another one that was huge was the staff development project. We sometimes called it staff development, sometimes organizational development, but it changed the culture of the organization. So instead of being kind of a hierarchy with a management team, period, we worked on training and development so that staff could participate in decision-making and planning and program development. So the goals of the organization came out from everyone instead of coming out from the executive director or the associate director. It changed the tone of everything. People were happier to be here. I tried to say to everybody more than once, this is a place where you don't have to hang up yourself when you come in the morning. This is your place. And the more you buy into it, the better the outcome for clients will be. And it was true. It was the work then and the work now was just really remarkable. The care for families, it was partly learning through the battered women's work. When we first started, we called it the Battered Women's Shelter. Imagine, the language was outrageously primitive. But we started it as a shelter. That's what we did with people from Bayonne and people from the National Organization of Women, all volunteers. But what we learned was so much about the needs of women. Being safe was only one thing. The whole business of jobs and self-esteem and independence and that's what I think the people here still value. That's what, when I talk to people that are still working here, that's the sense I get, is those are the values that are still being carried on. It's a great place. This is a great place.
So what do you think your legacy is for this place?
Mm-hmm.
What did you leave that is indelibly marked on Women Rising because of your tenure?
I think the two things, the focus on women and families and the enormous needs that low-income women have, I think is just crucial. I hope I'm still promoting that wherever I go. And I think the notion that people who work here should feel like they want to work here, that it's a choice that they make, that it's not a job. It's a job, but it's not only a job. It's a choice you make. And then when you make that choice, your work is better than it would be if you were just doing a job.
So you went from more of a, for lack of a better term, an autocratic style of leadership to a more collegial style of
Yeah,
leadership?
I wouldn't say autocratic. I don't know that I was ever
I mean,
autocratic,
it's a bad word.
but kind of like hierarchical. The
Right.
structure when I came was hierarchical.
Right.
So it was that way for a while.
How did you know to make, I mean, back in the 80s, it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it was.
In education in particular.
Yeah.
To diffuse the level of administration to, the professionals that were involved. And this is an organization like that in terms of the kinds of professionals. So what prompted you to move in that direction?
I think there's two things maybe. When I worked on my master's degree at NYU, I stumbled upon trying to figure out how volunteerism made an impact on civic society. I don't know how I stumbled on it. I was looking at things like the Tennessee Valley Authority and other examples like that. And it turned out to be one of those things where I began to see that individual voluntary activity in a community can change the community. So I think that was a big part of it. And then when we merged the two YWCAs, we decided that we needed something to bring the women of the boards together, something they could do together as a project, and the staff could do, the two staffs could do as a project. So we ended up with a new version of board governance, and we ended up with this this organizational development. We had a consultant who was just wonderful, who worked with the staff for months on self-managing teams and facilitation skills and common language so that we could all talk to each other. And I think those couple of things made all the difference, really, I think. I think that's what I brought to my work, so.
Did you have a guru, a mentor that you can trace back to your own development in that area? I mean, was there someone that you aspired to be?
That's a really good question. I don't know how far back I could take it. My parents were huge believers in we give what we can to our community. We make it better. That's what we're supposed to be here for. My brother, along those lines, is a volunteer at Patterson Habitat for years, and one year he was Volunteer of the Year because he was so valued by the people there. But it's what they taught us. My parents taught us that, and I think the more important mentors in my life came later, some of them actually here, like Ira Starr, who I can never say enough about the way in which he believed in what we could do. And so he taught me things that I would never have learned otherwise. And I was saying in some of the words that I was preparing, he's the one that taught me in Hebrew there's a word tzedakah, which often people say means charity. I'm giving to charity. And sometimes it means generosity and things like that. But he's the one that first said to me, it also means righteousness. It also means justice. And so it becomes like it becomes like what my parents taught us. It becomes kind of a moral obligation, kind of sacred activism. It's kind of what you put into the world because of who you are and who you want to be. And Jack, when I first met him, this has to be like 50 years ago, maybe. Maybe it wasn't when I first met him, but we were talking about hope, and I don't know what somebody, not me, said, well, we have to be hopeful. And he said, well, hope isn't hanging around in the atmosphere. Hope is something you create. You put it into the atmosphere. You help create hope for people. So that's what they're doing here, even still today. That is what they're doing here.
Have you been able to, I know when I was a headmaster for 18 years in private schools, and it's always kind of cool when you see the child of a child that that was terrible in third grade, but do you have any stories about people that came up under you that were just came to you in a terrible condition and left just a hero?
I don't know if I do or not, honestly. I would say,
or even a staff member.
I would say there are staff people who came here thinking they were ordinary, and they were not. After a while, you could see they were not ordinary at all. Some of them are still here. And some of them may not still be here, but were here for a very long time. So there's a lot of longevity here, or there was a lot of longevity, which says a lot about what was going on here.
So you spent 30 years probably worrying every week about payroll. Right?
Absolutely. That's why I retired.
Right.
I said I can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
I can't make another payroll.
Right.
I can't.
So how did you deal with that frustration? Because that's a big one.
Oh. Well, I didn't sleep much. And for a number of years before the renovation, there was an Olympic-sized swimming pool here, and I used to swim 3 mornings a week. But I mean, it was. I don't know that I dealt with it. I think that what I was able to do was not have everybody else be terrified. So that the good thing about me was I didn't make everybody afraid every 2 weeks, but I was afraid.
But it's every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
Well, you must have been in the same spot.
Same situation, every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I left education.
Yeah, well, that is my reason.
Yeah. Do you feel like? So I mean, what are your hopes and dreams for this place? What do you see when you left? Did you have a moment where you said, "Man, I really hope this happens"?
I guess I still hope. I wish that we lived in a country where people understood that volunteerism doesn't solve a problem when there's no money. That what this group could do with a little more money is phenomenal. I mean, really, people need to be paid more in the nonprofit sector, and there needs to be more program support money. I've been doing since I moved. I've been working on child care policy issues in Sussex County. I can't. I mean, it was bad before, but since the pandemic, the estimates for New Jersey are that affordable child care will be cut in half. That 50% of all the affordable slots for low-income families will be gone, And the only people that will be able to afford quality childcare are people with money. That's the saddest thing I think I've heard in a long time. It's really sad. And we know so much now. We know about child development from 0 to 3. We know it, and we don't do anything about it. Why don't we do anything about it? Remember that? Do you remember that years and years ago there was something about something about childcare will be fully funded and the Pentagon will have to have a bake sale, like that. It was a postcard. I don't remember. Oh, it was great. I mean, it was really great. I don't know who did it, but it was terrific.
So what are you?
And the White House would be affordable housing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's the other one. Yeah.
So what are you passionate about today?
I'm trying my best to talk about issues of poverty, especially women living in poverty. Everywhere I go, I try. I don't really always succeed, but I try. I'm trying to keep a level of support for women rising that is meaningful to them, to us. I do a little bit of work at the York Street Project, which is a Jersey City group that has similar client populations. And in Sussex County, I'm trying to really work on this childcare stuff. It's hard. It's very hard to work on things that don't look like anything's going to change anytime soon. But I think the part that I play in conversations with my friends and colleagues is important because many of them have not had the experience that I've had and still have. So to the extent that I can say to a group of women, you know, we're losing 50% of all the affordable childcare slots in New Jersey, that's a meaningful thing that people can remember and think about.
Speaking of children, how long have you been married?
I'm not sure I know. 31 years, I think we've been married, but we've been together almost 50 years. Almost 50 years.
Do you have any children?
No.
No children.
No.
So this was your child?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It meant everything to me. It still means everything to me. It still does. And I would do anything to support them.
It's a sacrifice to do that, and then to walk away from it.
Yeah, well, that was very hard. Yeah,
it
was hard. Yeah.
Investing 31 years in a place and then walking away. How did you feel? How did you feel?
It was, it was really a very hard decision. It was partly.
Can you just rephrase that question? Leaving Women Rising, just so we have that in the interview.
Leaving Women Rising.
And then go on the answer.
Yeah.
So what was it like? We talked about when you came. What was it like when you left? For you personally.
Yeah, it was very disorienting. Actually, I think is a word I might use. There was the only relief I felt at all was the business of the payroll. Everything else was hard. Was hard to. It was hard to figure out how to leave and be separated and not be, not hold on to things. It was hard. It was hard. By then we didn't live in Jersey City anymore. That helped somewhat. So because commuting was really dreadful, but so it helped that I didn't have to commute anymore. That was a good thing. But
well, you're leaving a big piece of your life behind.
Yeah.
In a very real way.
Yeah. And I mean, there are not. I can think of 2 or 3 other things in the whole of my life that were as important as this. Right. So.
Right.
And one of them is Jack. So I don't know what the third one will be. I have to give it some thought.
You don't want to say that in front of him. He's going to get a big head. Well, I'm kind of wrapped up with my questions. I don't know what else you wanted, Martha. I mean, I don't want to stop you from saying whatever it is that you feel led to say, but they wanted me to kind of just get the conversation going with you. And, I have an awful lot of footage already.
Well, we definitely have to get the, why don't we kind of, what do you think, Devin?
I should have a question. In your MPA classes, were you one of the only women?
In my,
MPA classes?
I might have been, I can't remember, you know, that was a long time ago.
Unbelievable. You're so inspirational. Unbelievable.
In those days, public administration, in those days, public administration in those days was, it was heavily based in political science. So today, if you went, Roseanne has an MPA from NYU, same as me, but by the time she was there instead of me, there was much more emphasis on things like hospital administration and things like that. That wasn't true when I was there. So an interesting sidebar is, if you would know something about my family, is my mother was a nurse and she had an RN and worked, my parents worked 24/7 for many years, but after a while, she went back and got a bachelor's degree. And then she said, I'm going to get a master's in public health or something. I forget what it was. But the interesting thing was that she and I both got our master's degrees the same exact time. It was so much fun. Yeah, everybody was
That's so cool.
wow, it was
Yeah.
very cool. It was very cool. Yeah.
Maria's getting her MPA right now.
Are you?
Yes, I'm in a dual program for a bachelor's and an MPA.
Oh, wow, where?
I had 30
At Rutgers. That's great.
That we want to touch
Yeah,
on
we
there.
gotta get like,
That is
I really
great.
enjoy the program.
we have to get the
Yeah.
thank you for, like the acceptance of it. I think we should kind of go through it if we can.
Yeah, I think now at this point it'd be more like your thoughts from like the thank you point of view. So thank you for to Women Rising for awarding me with the Above and Beyond award, and then kind of introducing yourself in a really like organic form. And is there specific things you think she should touch on?
Well, so how do you feel, Martha, after going through that? Do you feel, because I feel like you touched on a lot of what you had
Yeah, I
spoken
think so.
about,
I
pretty much
agree.
everything.
I would
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
And we can edit it so that, and it's like, it's very, obviously it came from you very natural and like it was very engaging. So, but we do need that first part where you kind of acknowledge the award and that you're receiving the Above and Beyond award and as Devin said, like segue into,
I think more so like who you are, your connection to the organization, and that you went through all that from the past just in kind of like one full swoop. And
Except that that's kind of strange to kind of be your own introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
I just think
You'll
you
have
should
to ask
acknowledge
me.
the
You have to ask me what you. I mean, the part about the award. That's easy for me.
yeah,
All right,
so
do that
that's-
part.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
stop
there.
really
But,
what I think
yeah.
is,
I think introducing yourself is just not.
plus
Yeah, you're right.
Roseanne already introduced you,
Right.
right? We got that.
I am
portion.
very distracted. I have a million questions to ask about everything you said. So, and I know that that's
Well,
not related to
well,
the
that-
video. So
well,
that's why
yeah.
I think the thank you is the best place to start.
Yeah.
I mean, anything you want to ask me, I could try to answer, right?
That's just because you're like my personal role model. so it's not
Unfortunately, though,
related.
I've got over 30 minutes with you, and I've got to condense all of this down with everybody.
Well, you
so-
better get going
I
now.
know.
Really.
So what I would suggest is we do that thank you,
Yes.
all right? And you can look directly at the camera for that,
Okay.
all right? And you're on.
Okay. Thank you so much for honoring me with this Above and Beyond award. I am accepting it with enormous gratitude and humility. Being a part of Women Rising is among the most important things in my life, so the award means just so much to me. And I want you all to also know that my story here is the story of a huge number of dedicated, insightful women. All the years I was here, and some of the years before I was here, a really, how do you say, a cavalcade of women who believed in the community and believed that they could do something meaningful. So I feel honored to be in their footsteps as well. So thank you very much.
Perfect. And if we could just get an ask out of you too, just like a
the,
importance of donating monetarily.
Asking for money.
Oh.
Someone
Oh.
get every week.
yeah.
You did touch on it briefly,
did,
and I feel
yeah.
like that'll be edited into
Yeah.
the speech, but this might not even be used. It's just to have it.
Yeah, okay, so.
And you could look at Ray for that.
So it's really important for all of us to support Women Rising in every way we can, and every way means monetarily, which is very, very important. So hopefully we can all do that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Do you think
No, I mean, I thought it was so engaging, everything that was said, and I think we have plenty of content. I mean, we really, we have only so much time, and
You
I
did
think
really,
that's-
really, really well.